Hey. GM guys, hope Hong Kong has been treating you all well. My name is Blingo. I'm the co-founder of RadaBlock. We're a growth marketing studio. We've been in the market for almost 3 years now, having done a lot of clients on AI like Wana, Kite AI, Prisma X, CapEx, and many more. My background has been DeFi specifically, and I welcome you all to the Unpaid Companies panel on AI in institutional markets, automation, risk, and execution. We hear the word AI so many times today, like almost like crypto X AI is frowned upon in the world outside crypto. And I think there's like a necessary need to actually change that. So we have some great panelists today to actually talk about the AI in institutional markets. So allow me to welcome Henry, who is the ecosystem product lead at Kite AI. Then we have Brian, who's the head of business development at Lagrange. Yeah. Then we have Brian, head of business development at Lagrange. Okay. We have Arthur, CCO, Perle Labs. We have Sina Yamani, founder and CEO of ActionModel. And Alexandra, head of business development at 1inch. So can we have a quick round of applause for all our speakers before we begin? Amazing. So I think one of the warm-up questions that have been given, and I'd like to change a lot of these, so just let me run the course, is what is one AI-driven process you would trust, and one you definitely wouldn't? I think I don't want any Claude bots to touch my money, so no MetaMask accesses or Rabbi for them. But I think we can start with you, Henry.
Same as you as well, right? I wouldn't trust an agent with full access to my financials and my wallet unless there are guardrails. And that's the reason why we're actually building Kite AI, to actually add those guardrails. So I would actually say without those guardrails, I wouldn't trust it. But I would actually put it another layer on top of it as well. I wouldn't even trust it with like my Google Drive or like my notes, right? Or my pictures, because agents they don't have common sense. They don't know what ethics are. If you ask it to do a task, it will do whatever it can, right, to fulfill that task, even if it means at the cost of your privacy, for example, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I mean by not trusting an agent unless you have guardrails. What do I trust it with? Honestly, very little unless there are guardrails. Maybe just like as a fact checker, someone who fact checks things online as an aggregated like knowledge base, representation of the internet. But even like personal stuff, right? I think that is like something that can be used against you. So very little things I can trust without guardrails.
What was the question?
Yeah, I think the question here is like, what is one thing you trust AI with like an automation, and what is one thing you wouldn't? And I think it would be great if you guys can start with a quick intro as well.
Okay. Hello everyone. Hello everyone. Who want to know about AI, guys? Nobody cares. Anyways, I'm Sasha. I'm with 1inch. I lead BD. 1inch is a DEX aggregator. We're covering 70% of market share in EVM markets. We're also working with RWAs, providing this opportunity to swap with RWAs, or it doesn't on intent base or only DeFi area for most of the wallets on the market. And in terms of your question about the AI, I would trust the speed and the maybe dynamic of AI, but I won't trust the risk management.
Hey everyone, I'm Arthur. I'm the CCO at Perle Labs. What Perle Labs does is basically we're building the human layer of AI. So basically we allow human experts to add feedback to AI systems, whether it be at the evaluation level or at the data level doing data annotation. I would probably trust today's AI enough to maybe do my taxes. I don't think I trust it enough in any physical systems, whether that be like driving, physical robots in the home, or anything of that nature.
Hey guys, I'm Sina from ActionModel. We have an AI ecosystem. We've built a range of automation tools. We actually launched last week. We've had 120,000 users already, so the team's pretty happy. And in terms of what I would trust it with, there's a lot of things. I mean, we've worked extensively around building guardrails. Our whole strategy is the ease of onboarding for B2B clients. So almost the entirety of the world, all businesses, they have no idea about AI. And one of the challenges is how do you actually onboard an AI employee? You know, and you have to treat them in a similar way to a normal employee. And the more information you can provide, the easier it becomes for the AI to operate within the boundaries that you set. At the moment, there's a lot of open source platforms that people are using, and they come with a lot of risks. We've seen Claudebot. Huge hacks have been happening literally over the last 24 hours. I saw that just a simple Google Calendar invite has caused about 50,000 people to be hacked through DOM injections. So you've got to be careful with APIs. That's the main thing.
I think we'd start with a question for Kite. So Henry, what does autonomous AI agents on-chain mean in real deployment? So when we give access to these agents, what does the on-chain ground zero look like?
Yeah, I didn't manage to also give a little bit of background on Kite. So what Kite is a purpose-built layer 1 blockchain, EVM compatible, that we're powering agentic payments and stablecoin use cases for the agentic economy. So we're backed by PayPal. That's why we're naturally working in payments. They're our biggest backer, amongst many others. And I think a lot of people talk about on-chain agents and assume that the agents live on chain, but even that definition I think is very loose, because as far as I know, I don't know any agents that actually operate and live on chain in the sense that smart contracts operate and live on chain. And the way I think about living on chain, strictly speaking, I think it means that the model itself and the code and the logic actually lives in the virtual machine and is executed by the Ethereum virtual machine, right, or the SVM, just like how smart contracts are compiled and live in the memory and also, you know, on chain. LLMs are huge. The files are very big. If we don't even store NFTs, right, which are JPEGs on chain, it's very unlikely that we will store huge LLMs that are gigabytes in size on chain as well, which is why I think the definition of on chain is in itself probably a bit loose. So what's realistic is people deploying the agents that live off chain and operate off chain, like on AWS, on the cloud, and they do actions on chain through APIs like DEXs and also through DEXs and also, I don't know, flash loans or like trades and stuff like that and swaps, right? Through 1inch, for example, using 1inch API, right? So how that realistically looks like, I think it's actually not very different from a normal agent that just links to a Web2 API to execute swaps, right, on 1inch, for example. So I think that there's nothing revolutionary about agents on chain. It's just integration with applications on chain, really, right? So it's basically, in short, it's easy. It's not magic, yeah, and everybody should do it.
Yeah, just maybe to add on that is basically how on-chain markets are fragmented. Basically, liquidity sits on different venues, and AI agents, to compare with human beings, they are more fast and on the execution and more adaptive to provide the better roads, to adjust the strategies, to choose the better pools. And this is where basically we can rely on, so on the on-chain agents. That's what I can add on.
Yeah, I think here at Perle, when we think about the on-chain aspect, we really focus a lot more on being able to verify where specific data came from and why AI made the decisions that it did. At small scales, it's easy to sort of trust the black box of data the AI was trained on. But once you get to, enterprise level, managing billions of dollars, or at, government, nation-state levels, there's much more of an incentive to poison certain data sets or, provide bad data in order to try to influence some level of decisions or conclusions that AI comes to. And so for us, being able to know where this data came from and who sort of authenticated it and who provided it is really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because being on chain can be 1,000 different things, and there's a bit of a battle if you think about it, where with decentralized approach, you're looking for efficiency, you're looking for speed, you're looking for low-cost solutions, and it's not what AI needs. When you think about it, I mean, from an inference perspective, unless you're a deep in project and you're distributing through thousands of users, then there's a solution there. But otherwise, Web 2 compute is significantly more efficient than anything we can currently do on Web 3. So I think that the first stages is about verifying, having a trace, what was the training data, things like this are really good, and then leveraging the community as well. So one of the things that we have within our ecosystem is a browser extension, and it's very simple for users. Within 60 seconds you can turn it on, and you're essentially contributing how you use the internet in the background, and that's the training data that teaches the AI how to use those platforms, and so from that perspective, it's leveraging the ecosystem and Web3 and providing rewards back to the user base for what is actually quite scarce data. So I've seen so many different types of projects across Web3. There is a lot of vaporware, unfortunately, and so if you're an investor, if you're a contributor, you got to do a lot of research and ask the main question: is what are these guys really trying to solve? What's the benefit?
I think the next one would be for Alexandra specifically. So when we hear about any agents being on-chain, we hear them as being like, more of execution environments. Like, okay, I can click for you, I can do these things for you. For us to understand, I think DeFi is one of the proven landscapes where, a lot of automation can happen. So how does AI look inside the algorithm level for 1inch, where you're, optimizing liquidity, and how does it look there? Because we understand AI from a I can do swaps for you perspective, but what does it look like at a liquidity level?
It's a good question, and honestly, right now, 1inch still does not execute any AI tooling right now, especially on the liquidity layer. But I could comment on our, from our experience by working with institutions, is that I'm not sure they will allow fully automation process for the AI agents on their end. I would say retail basically is quite okay by just giving the access to AI agents for their execution, but there is for the institutions is very low risk. So they are not only requiring fast automation on the liquidity, they are requiring compliance check and some other basically conditions that, depending on the strategy they are executing, should be taken care of. So I would say on the liquidity layer for the retail, it works same way than it works for basically for the anyone, and anyone else that basically executing something and swapping on any UIs, Trust Wallet, anywhere. And for the institutions, it's a completely different setup. And I'm not sure that AI agents, in a way that like we know of them right now, can be fully embedded into this direction. It should be very custom. So that's what I can.
Yeah, I think that gives us a very good segue to understand, like, where do institutions really push back on autonomy of the AI? So maybe, Henry, you'd like to start on that?
I think institutions have a lot more to lose, right? They have a bigger stake. I mean, if you use an agent, you give it access to your wallet, and it spends your entire wallet balance on buying something useless on Amazon, like, I don't know, 1,000 glass cups that you will never use, and you lose maybe like $300. That's not the end of the world for most middle-class people, right? But for institutions, right, the stakes are higher, right? If you let an agent or a machine control 300 million or 3 billion US dollars, that's a totally different thing, right? You could use that 300 million US dollars, and that's not even the maximum of the cap, right? They can use that 300 million US dollars to destroy billions and trillions worth of wealth through the capital markets, right? Through shorting or market manipulation, right? So the stakes are just a lot higher, and not just for the owner of the agents and the assets, right? But also the entire industry or the market, right? So with higher stakes, it also means that there's a higher need to have those guardrails. And for institutions, right, it's almost like sometimes I think it's a deliberate reason that things are kept low tech, right? Just like, you know, how people say the nuclear launch codes, right, are still, you know, guarded by humans with like physical keys instead of like digital systems, so they cannot be hacked, right? So I think the same sort of like frictions as well towards automation applies in institutions as well for very deliberate reasons, right? Even for us as well, we have code guardrails that are manually reviewed, right? And for very good reason, because as a chain, security matters, you know, and I think that institutions will not adopt, right, in scale anyway, unless there is sufficient explainability, transparency, and control and governance in the agents that they use. And I think it will take time because we need to solve that for the small consumer case first before the institution case can be solved in, yeah. So that's my thoughts, yeah.
Okay, so I think for Arthur, how do you think the institutions evaluate these AI models as compared to any traditional analytics platforms?
Yeah, I think institutions and enterprises, even moving on to governments, put a lot more emphasis on the safety aspect rather than just like pure ROI. In the sense that, you know, for us, individuals or even smaller institutions, a certain level of risk might be acceptable if the gain is sufficient, right? So if I'm trading, or, you know, I have some like AI agent, the risk of, I don't know, maybe having like a wrong calendar invite or missing a meeting, if I use my AI agent versus, you know, saving so many hours of work scheduling is worth it, right? I think when you get to the like nation state level, if you're doing, let's say, autonomous weapon systems, you know, and like military use cases, the margin of error there is much closer to zero. And so they emphasize a lot more on safety and, you know, being able to verify where specific pieces of data came from and why decisions that were made, you know, were made.
Yeah, and I think one of the last questions for Sina, I would love to understand, like, you guys have been pushing this idea of community-owned models, right? So how would you look at intersection of institutional AI and any community-owned AI?
So if you think about where we're heading now, right? We've had chatbots. This is the last few years. It's LLMs. In the next few years is about automation. And it's going to start with computers. There's 1 billion people that work behind a computer, and they will entirely be automated. You know, as a business, it's the difference between 95% cost reduction and you have AI employees working 24/7 in the cloud. This is coming. It's inevitable. And so where is that value transfer going to go? It's going to go to a handful of trillion-dollar companies primarily. And it's going to take jobs of hundreds of millions, maybe billions of people. So, our entire ecosystem is built around the community owning the AI that they help contribute to. And there's benefits to this. If you look at Claudebot, for instance, it uses the public models. It uses whatever you want, whether it's OpenAI's, Anthropic's models. And these models, firstly, they're based on LLMs, and secondly, they're about 1 year old. And so that has a lot of drawbacks. As I mentioned with our browser extension, it collects live data on how anyone uses whatever website. So it learns the functionality. And so the accuracy on those use cases is higher than the existing top-tier models. And so from that perspective, we have a community that can actually build something together, and it can operate better than some of the big tech companies. So I think that's powerful, and I think that's where a lot of the world is headed: community-owned, community-driven, community-distributed ecosystems, not just AI, but in many different verticals as well.
And I think one last question for each one of you. What is something that you guys use at an automation level through AI in your own personal workflows?
Maybe something that's not like workflow related, because I think most people do that. I actually use it to design a physical product. Actually, not really a product, just something that I really want. I use it to design rings, and I have rings. So I actually was quite surprised that agents, right, are able to very specifically understand material chemistry, different types of metals. How would it work in different conditions and stress levels in jewelry, and even write a whole document, right, on how to make it and what price would the materials be, and who do you potentially find to build that custom jewelry for you. And that's how I found Etsy, right? And Etsy is actually an e-commerce company that makes customized items and jewelry, and has actually been one of the design partners of Google and Amazon and Shopify to come out with UCP, the Universal Commerce Protocol, that is the newest agentic standard today, right? So that's surprising to me, right? That it can actually come up with designs and even draw the sketches for you as well for something that is only in your head, right? And I think that's quite amazing, yeah.
That's actually great. When I said that we're not using AI for 1inch, I said we're not using for our product, but we are all really big fans of AI when it comes to the team. From just generating the memes on the just recent fail of some of the colleagues, by just gaslighting them with these memes, by just basically optimizing the whole conversations. I'm here presenting the sales business development team, and we have tons of conversations, and without AI, to be honest, I couldn't reach maybe even 50% of things that we're doing right now with 1inch. So it's optimizing the offers, doing the market research even sometimes, of course, with a certain level of requests from the human being, but this is where we really see the big help of AI, like with cloud, ChatGPT, of course. Sometimes we're getting requests from the basically languages that we never know, and the AI again help us to basically stay in touch with this client. Like lots of things which is connected purely with either just jokes, memes, to really real conversations and analytics. That's where we see that it's very useful.
Yeah, I've been using Claude Cowork a lot recently to clean up maybe 7,000 or 8,000 files on my computer and then documents and sort of organize them based on categories.
We do a lot of hiring, and we get a lot of applicants. And as you know, a lot of those applicants, they write their CVs with AI. So it's only fair to rank it with AI as well. So we use our own tool. It opens up all the CVs, reads through it, qualifies them, triages it, and then ends up booking the meetings with them as well. And then at the end of it, it actually write the contract and send it to them as well. So the whole sequence of the HR flow can be optimized with AI.
Cool. I think thank you guys for really, really nice answers. And we know that Henry would be the one who would be surprising us with rings at the end of this. But yeah, you guys were super amazing. Thank you again.